As aid flights to Tonga deliver much needed supply, Tongan seasonal workers in South Australia are finally getting into contact with their families back home. Unable to travel back to help to rebuild, many are hoping to double down on their shifts at Australian farms so they can send more money home, and Australian farmers are pitching in as well.
Solemn Tongan hymns sung in a small church in South Australia's Riverland, a prayer of hope for the heartache suffered across the Pacific. The seasonal workers have been waiting and discovering they've lost homes and some loved ones in a recent tsunami on the Tongan Islands.
Sometimes you can really tell that they are struggling to overcome what's happening.
The powerful tsunami caused by a volcanic eruption wiped out communication lines with the islands. It's only now possible for these farm workers to make contact with their families.
Last night I've been able to contact with my uncle last night, which is pretty much give me all the news that I wanted to know about what is going on in Tonga.
I spoke to my mom and she said they are okay out there.
3 Australian flights have arrived in Tonga carrying critical supplies, including food, water, medicine, telecommunications, infrastructure and clean-up equipment. The HMAS Adelaide is due to arrive in the coming days.
HMAS Adelaide offers quite substantial capacity. It has helicopters on board, it has engineers on board, it has a 40-bed hospital, it has generating capacity for electricity, for purification of water. This is a major asset that will be there.
There are about 5,000 Tongans currently working in Australia. Many want to leave here as soon as possible to help their homelands rebuild.
Do all the cleaning and help out the communities and stuff, because there's a lot to do, and our family need us.
But farmer Michael Ingerson has been told it's likely to be months before the Tongans he employs are able to leave.
That's the challenge, that keeping the guys, focused, happy, here in Australia, when they really want to be home with their families. As you could understand, that'd be, that's the one that's a bit tough.
The farming community has been finding work outside of the fruit picking season for the islanders. Some have been unable to return home since the pandemic began because of strict quarantine requirements. Now the farmers are helping in another way. Citrus farmers in the Riverland are paying for shipping containers so that Tongan workers here can send supplies back home. The main item they want to pack is building materials. The South Australian government has paid for the Pacific Islands Council to go on a road trip across the state to visit Tongans working in regional areas.
We've scheduled 4 or 5 trips right across the state, and so that'll be a trip of a group of us to have a church service, run a conversation around a meal, and be able to just connect with workers.
But because of COVID outbreaks on farms, many are unable to attend, instead stuck in isolation. Joel Phillips, Sky News in Paringa, South Australia.